This video probably isn't going to kick off a spin-off series of Indiehemius, where I check back on the previous shows and pilots I reviewed on to see how they're doing today, or any other kind of new series for my channel. It should also be noteworthy that I don't use my alt account very often since I first created it so I can organize more important videos onto my main channel, but I am doing this not only because I feel like I owe somebody a favor, but I'm doing this because there's one particular indie animation project that somehow stood out to me more than some of the other shows I talked about in the past, that I feel like its review deserves a part 2. I previously reviewed Mammal Squad for the first season of Indiehemius about well over a year ago. It's one of the very few communities I somehow kept in touch with even after reviewing it, the other one being for Analog, but that doesn't mean I proudly align myself with any other community like Mammal Squad's. It's also the shortest Indiehemius review I ever made at just 11 minutes, which I thought was applicable back then since I was trying to play by my own rules to keep Indiehemius reviews at a margin of 10 to 20 minutes long. And I did give my fair share of praise and feedback regarding the pilot, but now that it's been over a year later, Mammal Squad has changed a lot since where I last left off with the pilot. It not only changed, but it grew. It grew into 3 more episodes, with the 5th one set to drop within a couple of days of writing this, proving that this can have the potential to be a series after all. But how much did it change within the span of 3 more episodes? And did it improve anything in lieu of the pilot? Well, I'm hoping to get those questions answered today myself in this follow-up video of my Mammal Squad review. But before I do that, there are a few factors I'd like to inform the viewers upon watching this video. First off, this show was based off a visual novel game. I kinda regret not telling you about this fact earlier in my past review of Mammal Squad, because it's important to know that this show wasn't a standalone idea. Mammal Squad was entirely based on Feral Attraction, a visual novel independently created by Moontoon herself, with all of the main characters being bridged from that game over to the series. I'm not a visual novel guy, I never was and probably will not be in the future. Hell, I consider visual novels to be rarely even games at all. They're literally just interactive books that allow you to make choices in. I don't hate reading at all, even if I haven't read an actual book since high school, but visual novels are simply one of the least fun game categories I enjoy, as they're easy to program and mostly rely on a creative degree in terms of art and writing to engage players over game mechanics. No offense, visual novel players and developers. The only difference of Feral Attraction is that you don't play as any of the 6 Mammal Squad. You play as the main character who's just friends with them, and you get to choose to either strengthen your bond with them or have it fucked up in the most damning way possible. And this game takes place in a fictional city as opposed to New York in the show. If you want to play Feral Attraction, the game that was inspired to create Mammal Squad, you can download it and play it here, link in the description. Second, this isn't the only project Leah Hall was involved in making. She's also known for collaborating with others to make other indie animated pilots. More specifically, there might be Changelings and Lexi the Super Fox, the latter of which I'm hopeful to review for Indiehemius soon because it's on my roster, so I'm looking forward to that. And finally, which might be the most important one, is that I'm not a furry, and covering Mammal Squad again certainly doesn't make me one neither, but that doesn't mean I hate furries or have anything against the furry community in general. I'm not teasing, I'm not playing dumb, I'm not in denial. This is nothing like Saberspark's thing. I'm not trying to rip him off with that sentiment, so please be respectful and keep that in fucking mind. Thank you. Starting off with the story, it's become clearer of what the plot structure this show wanted to choose for all its episodes: a slice of life, meaning they'll have each and every episode focusing around the day in the life of one of the 6 Mammal Squad. It's simple, but it's clever if you think about it in that way, because aside from the pilot being about Doki, The second episode's about Lika, the third one's about Gerard, and the fourth one is for Popcorn. So for each episode uploaded, it's predictable who's it going to be about, which makes sense why the fifth episode will be about Maya, actually, and Corey is probably going to be the sixth one in the future. My only concern is where the show will go after the sixth and final Mammal Squad member gets their episode. Perhaps it will stop there and conclude the series with the fact that there's only 6 episodes, and each of them is about each Mammal Squad character. Or maybe there'll be a creator first driving Leah to create more episodes that include more adventures with them. But who knows? It's her choice and the ball's in her court. But in general, the writing has drastically improved in the show. Each episode stepped up their game to a higher level. It differs afar from the pilot because it's not about random shit. It's storytelling that integrates the concepts of morale and real-life challenges too when it comes to growing up and processing into adulthood, such as love, the struggle of college, and caring for your family. It integrates them smoothly and impressionably to the point where the plot can have a hand in building emotional character development. And it doesn't just reflect on those problems every adolescent or young adult will ought to go through in their lives in New York City, but their lives in other places in general. The Gerard episode is a perfectly good example of that impactful writing, because in the end of that episode, Popcorn summarizes that the whole adulting thing is hard, but we still have a responsibility for the actions we do as adults and recognize where we keep screwing up, and pick yourself up from falling to these mistakes again. We have the right, privilege, and moral duty to take a step in the right direction, even if adult life is full of obstacles that make us go the wrong way. That's the whole caveat of growing up. It's never smooth sailing from here. It's about standing your own ground, now even when you're confronted with stuff like work or college. Those quotes alone tapped me into a deeper level of understanding I never thought I'd reach, and now that I'm 21, it makes even more sense now on the count of what I have to put up with. While the second episode details the complications of finding true love and the fourth episode displays how family can have a strong influence on your life, Gerard's episode is the episode that I can personally connect with. Is that too much to boast about for a furry slice of life? Maybe. But the story does take a step in the right direction, and I'm hopeful that other shows like Mammal Squad will take that direction in writing too. Oh, and it also got funnier too for some reason. There's even more humor added in the show, and I think some of it is funny and ironic, such as the ordinary DMV experience in episode 3.
What's wrong?
You're missing several requirements here. Your social security card, a lease agreement to prove residency, bank statements.
I didn't know.
A lock of hair, vial of your blood, an opinion essay on the state of American politics. Do you have any of these?
No.
So what driver's license lifespan would you like? The 1 month, 1 year, 1 year and a half, or 8 year?
8 year?
The 8 year costs $50 extra.
Jesus Christ. You know what? I'll come back tomorrow.
We're closed weekends.
Well, maybe later I can show
We're
up.
closed in an hour.
Greetings, ma'am. May I get an emotional support animal license?
Sign here.
Thank you.
The animation has also improved. Maybe not as much as the story and writing, but it did refine itself in the later episodes. I will remain on my opinion that some of the animation can be too inconsistent in terms of speed and pacing, but the fur textures and coloring of Mammal Squad try its best to reflect upon the nature of the Big Apple, and the so-called animals living in it, even painting a more accurate representation of New York City with it. But I think it's doing better with them now. If there's one thing that's important you should also know about the animation, the animators are not paid at all. I know, but let me explain. Leah sometimes hires other animators in terms of volunteer work to help with the production of Mammal Squad, not for the money, but to gain credit and possible experience on what it feels like working on an indie animation series as opposed to working on a full-scale TV production of a cartoon. I would argue that maybe volunteer work isn't the best option for sourcing your animation, and it might be best to at least pay the animators for their fair share of work, or at least maybe give them something better in compensation. But that could be debatable. if you think about the Patreon money that drastically helps speed the production of the show in return for perks like access to the exclusive Mammal Squad Discord server that used to be open access before it got limited to Patreon access. All of the animators, including Leah because she is the head animator and probably animates for most of the show, are unique and special in their own way of animating Mammal Squad. They even got Vale Rat, or J Pixel, who's one heck of a wild card in the team. Seriously, the guy's multi-talented at not just animation, but art, music, and video editing, so getting a guy like him aboard is pretty crazy to me. The new criticism that I have with the animation is that the background characters might be too distracting to look at aside from observing the main characters in the show. Yes, the background characters are appealing, but they may be a bit too appealing to us that prevents us from focusing on mostly the main character. Maybe it's because the character design of the main gang is more ordinary than the background characters or something? I don't know. It has been said by Saberspark before in a past livestream when he was reacting to the episodes 2 and 3 of Mammal Squad with his wife, so this isn't an original opinion of mine. But I do understand what he meant by that more clearly upon revisiting the series. There are people who will thirst for even the hobos in the show, the literal homeless people in Mammal Squad, just because they look extra detail and finer than the main characters for some reason. But why would I bother complaining about that? Overall, I think Mammal Squad's animation is doing pretty well compared to the pilot. It's a noticeable upgrade. But I guess it could do better if the animators were paid and motivated to work harder. The characters are no different from the pilot. They are exactly what you see them as in the beginning. Doki's the goofy one, Lika's the pothead, Gerard's the overwhelmed college student, and Popcorn's the stubborn bastard who's growing up too fast. With the Maya episode, and possibly another episode that'll be centered around Corey releasing sometime soon, it might be obvious that their personalities will reflect upon the pilot as well. They also bear the same signature character design, which some people take it as bland, but recently the character development that goes on within the episodes shows that there is a bigger picture to them. The character writing has structured their personalities to have multiple layers to them compared to what the pilot displays. The writing for the characters has been enhanced even more for each of their episodes respectively. For instance, Lika can be more than a carefree pothead in episode 2. It can show that she has her goals and wants when it comes to confronting basic human entities like finding true love. All she cared about in her episode was her relationship with some shitty guy who's just interested in her for her damn criminal record and lifestyle, not for who she truly is as a person. Gerard is portrayed as a college student with more incapabilities and flaws than I thought. So much to the point where somebody younger than him had to give him a fucking pep talk about growing up. Even when he's clearly losing his mind about it, it almost describes me as a college student who also goes to school in the Big Apple, except that I don't have a dorm and still live with my mom to save money, and 2 of my friends go to CUNY as opposed to me going to a private college. Popcorn's character is also expanded to have more layers than before, for it can show that he matures so fast that he doesn't realize his own influence he has on his younger siblings, and how it affects his life and relationship with his long-gone brother, who's probably dead from a fentanyl overdose or whatever. In the end, it shows that these characters can be pretty meaningful in terms of relating to who we are in the real world, and the way they're written makes it clever enough for me to forgive their ordinary character design. With the Maya episode coming soon, I got a good feeling that her episode and how she's portrayed in it is either gonna simply enlighten me or break me in the most emotionally damning way possible. So yeah, Mammal Squad is doing better than I thought. I'd say it's been doing alright with the animation of it on the terms of being a full-fledged web series, but it's a huge improvement with the story and character aspect. The latest episodes display a vastly noticeable difference from the pilot on the count of writing and character development that seems to make Mammal Squad more engaging to watch. It deserves to be enjoyed by more people who like indie animation. not just furries. I even recommend this cartoon to New Yorkers. Should this series end at some point or keep continuing as long as it can is still upon debate, but the choice to end it here after like maybe 6 or 7 episodes or make a new season is completely up to Leah Hall, and I think we should respect the creator's wishes and her plans for the future of this project. So enjoy it while it lasts. But even after all that, does it still make me a furry after watching this? No way! Have I been a furry all this time? Never. Am I sure I'm not a furry or part of the community? Okay, look, I don't even have money to buy a fursuit. Hell, I don't even monetize my YouTube channels, and I spend most of my money on keys to delisted Steam games, and recently a few old camcorders for some reason. But that doesn't stop me from reviewing this show as both a New Yorker and somebody who likes indie animation, and it's definitely not gonna stop me from recommending this show to you all. Even if you're a furry, I've been Bohemius, and this has been the Rhapsodious Alt channel. Remember to like, subscribe, drink water, and all that cool stuff. I'll see you all on the—
Finally.
I got you right where I want you. Doki? You're still there? Yes, and I have been hired to exterminate you. You're gonna exterminate me? Yep. Listen here, retard. You caught me in a good mood. Good enough to do a follow-up review on your show, like you requested. So I'm gonna let you off with a warning. You don't have to fool me under these spectacles and black mask. You mean these? I thought you were an off-duty ICE agent recording a podcast for chuds. Okay. Ouch. But it looks like you really are a chud after all. You think I'm a retarded chud? Of course you're a chud! You don't even react to indie animation and treat them equally like cinematic pieces of artwork. You just give them hyper-realistic critique and treat them like films to circle jerk on Letterboxd or Reddit, and don't pick sides when it comes to liking or hating popular stuff like The Amazing Digital Circus or Hell of a Boss! Well, yeah, it's kind of my reviewer gimmick. I'd say I'd be doing this for fun, and I probably deserve to be laughed at for taking indie animation seriously to the point where I'm professionally reviewing other people's works on the internet. But even I have to acknowledge how much of an impact indie animation has on us, including me so much, to the point where I joined my campus newspaper just to write an article about it and to share my desire for it to a bigger audience in real life. Who knows? Maybe I'll review On Gazelig as a precaution next. Alright! Enough gab. It's time to do this. What are you gonna do to me? Saberspork was very specific. Saberspork? Yeah, for some reason he wanted me to shoot you. Shoot me? Yeah, that way you'll never find out that he physically eliminated the competition, so he can be the top and only indie animation reviewer of them all on YouTube. Perhaps I said too much. That's a big gun. Don't worry, this'll only hurt a lot. Whoa, that's a big blob. Thank you, kind stranger. Holy crap! It's the Oddfellows!